It is week number 6 of the Texas high school football season, October. District 12, 6A, week number 2. Joe Gillespie, great friend, Midway football coach. They have Shoemaker on the road Friday night at Cyril Stadium down in Killeen. Man, you guys, tough loss. We're going to get to that immediately. Then we'll talk Shoemaker. But let's look back at last week. 24-21. You got to give them credit. They kick a 44-yard field goal.
Yeah.
I know the turnover at the end was tough. You are right now the walking wounded. That's not like you have a bunch of players out, but you've lost, obviously, Cohen and other guys have been in and out. Chauncey King didn't play. Now Max is hurt. Next man up?
It has to be next man up mentality. And you know, and I really don't know what Shoemaker's going through, what Temple's going through, what Brian and Cove and everybody else is going through right now. It's kind of that point of the season. And, you know, unfortunately, we've lost a few guys. Hopefully we're going to get a few back. You know, I'm looking forward to getting Hudson King back probably in the near future.
Yep.
And you know, hopefully Chauncey by this time next week, Max Maton. I mean, he's not going to play this week, but I'm hoping, crossing fingers, that maybe we can get some spot play next week. But it's given an opportunity to a bunch of young men. It's forced us as coaches to lift our level of coaching up and let's get a little bit creative in what we're going to do. It's kind of force a shuffle effect, so to speak, because at the end of the day, you want to put the best 11 that you can get out on the field. And if that means some position changing and stuff like that, then that's what we're going to do. And then it forces the kids to sit there and, you know, those that are healthy and those that have been starting, those that have gotten a lot of reps, hey, you're going to have to pick up your weight even more. And you know, if you can get better, I promise you there's another cylinder in there that we need to go find.
Friesen, who's played a lot, he has a pick this year, will now be one of your safeties.
Yep.
He can play corner. He plays a lot of places. You got a lot of interchangeable parts, but he's made some plays. How much does that help now that he's going to get more snaps?
Well, I think, you know, Friesen is one of those guys that right now, you know, he's new. He came in during the summertime from El Paso. He and his brother both, and his brother's going to be a phenomenal football player for us as well. He's a freshman in high school. And so, number one, we're extremely excited to have the Friesen family here. And he is an extremely hard worker. And the fortunate thing about Noah is that he's a very smart football player. He understands football, and so he can go play corner for us. He can go play any one of the three safeties for us. And you know, if we got a little bit of work, he could probably go play an outside linebacker for us. Getting him on the field in as many different ways as possible is a good thing. And then we've got some guys that are interchangeable that are just going to be, you know, Carl Simmons. He's going to have to play a little bit out of what he perceives to be his comfort zone. But honestly, you know, the closer that he tends to move towards the line of scrimmage, the more he becomes very, very effective.
Would he be technically your strong safety and now moves inside a little bit closer? So he's physical or has been physical.
Sure.
He's not like doesn't weigh a lot, but he's not. I've seen he'll go sideline to sideline. So does that help with him now moving up closer?
Absolutely, because I think it plays into his wheelhouse. And you know, Carl's not afraid to sit there and throw his face in the fan. You know, from a back end standpoint, that third level standpoint, throughout the first 5 games, there have been flashes of somebody come through, and I'm like, who in the heck was that? And every time they stand up, it was number 10. And, you know, he's gotten a penalty or two for being a little bit too physical and enjoying the moment, but that's okay. We want them to have fun. I can take on, you know, hustle, physical penalties, not selfish penalties. And I think everything that he's done has been very, very hustle, very, very physical. And, you know, stuff like that's going to take him to another level. And so we fully anticipate him going out and having a well of a game this
What is the
Friday.
more frustrating penalty, a false start, which is obviously a discipline, and
Sure,
or a post-play unsportsmanlike penalty, because that's longer, 15 yards. Sometimes it's an automatic first down. Which one of those is the one that drives you crazy more?
It kind of depends on what that 15-yarder is. I mean, there can be unsportsmanlike and stuff like that, and you know, a late hit out of bounds, but how, you know, how far was it out of bounds?
Bang, bang.
It's a bang, bang type deal, and it's a judgmental deal for the ref crew. And so I can handle those things, when it's certainly after the whistle and things of that nature, that's a very selfish play. And so something that's within our control. If you hustle and you're very physical with things, we can live with those, even if it's a 15-yard variety. Probably the one that bothers me the most is hey, it's 3rd and short, and defensively we sit there, they hard count us, and we jump all sides. That's discipline. And that's not, being a very good student of the game or hey, it's a 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5 type deal. And the defensive line shifts on us and we budge a little bit on the offensive line or whatever it may be, especially a receiver. A receiver should never be able to hear the snap count. He's looking in at the ball. You go on ball movement. You don't go on movement by the defense. And so, those are just discipline type deals. And those probably get us a little bit more frustrated.
Yeah, pass interference is a judgment call, and
sure.
You're trying to make a play. I get one thing about the jumping off sides. Let's say it's 3rd and 4, as you mentioned. Sometimes it's early in a drive. It can be but that could take a 3 and out, and it could be an end 12 play drive against you, and it keeps you on the field. I don't know what and how much you can talk, but there were a couple of things. One, on your film on McNair near the goal line. Do you think he scored? Harker Heights is really good. They got some bodies. What was your thought about that?
Well, I'm a little bit partial too, so there's some bias going into this. Honestly, when you get it down there, whether they called it a touchdown or didn't call it a touchdown, let's make it concrete.
Yeah, don't give them a chance to.
Give them a chance. Don't put it in the ref's hands and stuff like that. Let's run out the back of the end zone and go sit there and hand the ball to the ref. And I understand that that's a smash mouth, slobber knocking, field position that's going on right now. And so, you can sit there and you can put your finger at a bunch of things, and the easy ones to sit there and look back at are, in the first quarter we go for it on fourth and goal from the 1, and we don't punch it in. Whether or not I thought we punched it in, they didn't call it. And the opening kickoff of the second half, we've got them in the first half and even in the second half. We get them in a 3rd and long, they convert. We get them in a 4th and about 8, and they convert. And, if we get ourselves off the field, then they didn't end up going down and scoring. However, on one of them they did, but however, it gives our offense another possession. And so you never know what's going to happen. Everybody's always going to remember what happened at the end of the game.
Right.
And they went down and they scored. It's a 21-21 ball game. There's 4.5 minutes left to go in the game. We've got I think if I remember correctly, we've got a timeout, at least one timeout sitting in our hip pocket. And in my mind, I'm going, okay, 4.5 minutes, and we're going to get a 2-minute warning if we hold on to the ball that long. And because we've shown in previous games to be very explosive. And, I'm sitting there kind of thinking to myself as a defensive mind, but also as a head coach, man, I would love it if we could run the 4.5 minutes off the clock.
Absolutely.
and go punch it in. Worst case scenario, let's go kick a field goal. They kick off to us. We get this massive return. There's a bogus holding call that's on the opposite side of the field that really has no bearing on the play. And, I kind of scanned the field as soon as we busted it, and Lathan got tackled at about the plus 40.
Yep.
I did a quick scan backwards, always looking for, that little yellow handkerchief. And I didn't see it. And then all of a sudden I see one, and it was on the far side. And
it was at about the 10 or 15 yard line on the opposite side away from the hash. So it was 40, 35 yards away. I didn't see it when I scanned it either, because that's the first thing I look for. And I have others like Sean Hunt who's pointing things out. But
you had a bird's eye view. You had a bird's eye view, and I think even our coaches upstairs were sitting there going, "We're clean,"
and then you're not,
and then all of a sudden we're not, and so that was frustrating. It ends up being a 50-yard penalty. We got the ball at the 10 instead of the plus 40, and unfortunately, some bad things happen. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to say, our kids never quit. Our kids never stopped. I mean, there was multiple opportunities for some hard things. We went at halftime, talked about it. It's 7-7. We haven't played our best ball, but man, what a ball game. And let's have fun with it. This is a great ball game. Let's, win or lose, let's go out there and we get 24 more minutes to play. Let's go play our hearts out. And I think they did. It was fun to watch.
And they're the defending champions. And they, what Coach Humble's done is very good. That tight end they had, you talked about a 4th and 8. He only had 2 or 3 catches, but they were always like keep
always
the chains
the big
moving.
ones.
Real tough guy underneath. Lathan had another big, not a lot of yards because it was a slugfest. Had the kick return, which was like I was like, is that I'm not trying to overdo it here. Shoulder pad popping out, looked like Earl Campbell back with Love You Blue for old school people. And then there was the penalty, and of course he had the turnover. He is such an amazing talent and a really good young man. People love him. He runs so hard, and I can't imagine. You don't ever talk much about it because he's going to be who he is. What do you say to him, if anything at all? Because you're not where you are or who you are without him.
Well, you're going to go up and honestly, you're just going to give him a hug and sit there and say, hey, there's a whole lot of football in your life ahead of you. And this is a learning opportunity. This is probably not going to be the last time something like this happens. And, welcome to being a guy that has to carry the ball. Welcome to a guy that's going to get a lot of different carries and be in a lot of different looks. And those things happen. This is life, and sometimes you get knocked down, man, you're winning, and everything's positive. And adversity is always kind of creeping around the corner. And, when it happens, embrace it. Let's get through it. And so, we're teaching football. We're coaching football. We want to win football games. Bigger thing is we want to win the game of life.
Right.
And we sit there and we take those experiences, we put them with the daily life of everything. And because that's where it's most important.
I like to kind of watch after teams shake hands or whatever, but I saw I think you were talking to Andrew McNair after the game. It was you and Andrew. What were you telling him?
What a fun game.
Yeah.
And what a fun game. I was kind of checking on him. How do you feel, man? You're one of
He took a shot to the ribs or back.
It was early in the game. It was a clean shot, and it was one that, he pulled down and tried to get some positive yards and got hit hard. And, from a front, from a back to a side and all of those things. And as soon as he got hit, I just started walking out on the field because I thought, all right, this dude's going to be out. And, I'm just hoping, this isn't a season-ending deal. And I'm walking out there and talking on the headsets, hey, start getting court warmed up. And we get out there and he's rolling over and our trainers are there. I actually had to tell him to go back down.
Yeah, he stood up.
He stood up because, he's a tough kid, and tough kids do that. They're going to stand up. They want off the field. Always told my boys, don't you ever lay on the field. You might want to have 2 feet in the grave before you lay on the field and stuff like that. But it was at a point, especially positionally, we needed to sit there and I had to tell him, hey, go back down for a minute because we're trying to warm court up. We're also trying to get the center to give him some snaps.
Pitcher's going to go get a starting pitcher or change pitchers. You want to delay it as much as you can. It's part of the game, the nuance of the game. So the bullpen relief pitcher can get a couple of 5 or 6 more tosses.
Yeah, let me have a few tosses before I go out here and try to, get something in the end zone.
All right, so Shoemaker, man, I've known Toby Foreman for a long time, back when he was in the Golden Triangle area. He's done a really good job. He took over a program that has had very little success. Shannon Hall did a good job. Then he went up to the Mansfield area and took them to a playoff. But they've had a long losing streak. But that's in the history. It's the past. They're really good. Beat Temple 5-0. I don't know if they've ever been 5-0. They're playing at home. They love the stadium that they're playing at. I've never done a game at Cyril's. It's a new stadium on the Chaparral campus, I think. But playmakers. Now, they've always had playmakers. What they also have is a defensive lineman, I think, who's like committed to Houston, or an offensive tackle committed to a Division I school. And a lot of they've got this. you're going to have to, this is a game where they're going to pop some.
Sure.
But they're not unbeatable, but they're playing good football. What do you see from them?
Well, number one, Toby is a good friend of mine, and Toby does a wonderful job. And man, he's been some places, and he's been around great ball, and he's been able to sit there and turn programs, and Toby's doing a wonderful job there. I know when I was up north a little bit in the Fort Worth area, my youngest son was playing at Aledo, and their first playoff game each year when he was at Aledo was Shoemaker. And I can remember both years, my wife and I walking into the stadium. Fortunately, I got to see both games at that time each year. And I can remember walking in and looking at Shoemaker during pregame and thinking and saying it out loud to my wife, holy moly, I mean, look at these kids over here. And I remember her telling me, would you stop? You're making my stomach hurt. And it's still the same thing. I mean, just going and, playing them last year, I knew what kind of athleticism that they were going to have and stuff. And if you give them any room to breathe at all, they will cap on you in a hurry. Going through the spring and going to trap meets and going to the district trap meet and watching them run and watching them throw and do all those things. I was like, okay, we don't really want to go into a trap meet with them. And so we're going to have to sit there and be the most physical team. I mean, just bottom line, we're going to have to bring our physicality to the football field with us. We're going to have to be very gritty, and then we're going to have to be very smart in what we do. And so you alluded to it earlier. We're going to have to be a clean football team.
Yeah.
And, the team that made the fewer mistakes the other night was the team that won.
Yep.
This is going to be another one of those games. The team that makes the fewer mistakes is the team that's going to sit there and win.
So they do have the ability at times on the edges. You guys have been somewhat vulnerable. And now with the changes, is that your biggest concern? I mean, obviously they may just get a seam and boom.
Sure.
But the outside discipline, pursuit, but not over pursuit.
Absolutely. And, you sit there and you worry about the edges, you worry about the perimeter of things, and you worry about their speed and stuff like that. And so, one thing that we do have, and I think it's a compliment, is we got a bunch of guys on defense that will run to the football. It's hurt us on the cutback stuff,
right?
And when they reverse field. And so we're going to have to be very disciplined in both areas. There's going to have to be a tremendous amount of pursuit going to the football. And then we're going to have some, very steady guys. I got a job to do from a backside standpoint, because if they cut this back and nobody's home, they're going to hit the heads off the goalposts.
You're back at a normal run Friday against Harker Heights, Friday against Shoemaker. Then you come back with Temple, which last year was an amazing game down there. There's another Thursday game at the end with Copper's Cove to close it out. People like to play that one day earlier to get ready for the postseason if there's that opportunity. But that was old school. That game Friday.
Sure.
I saw games last week. I thought one of the highest scoring weekends in high school football history in Texas. But that was just a clean cut, 24-21. I know it didn't end the way you wanted, but man, your guys do scratch and claw. Thanks for your time, man. We'll see you Friday.
Thank you, David.
Joe Gillespie. Hey, by the way, thanks to El Conquistador Restaurant providing lunch for when I meet with Coach Gillespie, Josh Willis, Kevin Crane, and then eventually coaches come in for providing lunch on Tuesdays when I go by the field house and spend some time to get ready for the broadcast. We appreciate that.
No doubt. No
really
doubt.
Good.
Thank
we
you.
have fajitas this past week. All right, Garrett Ross, again, thank you. Thanks to our sponsors, Bert Colgan Ford, who I send every weekend, the player of the week, and we appreciate Mark Stewart for his support. 365 Sports.